Welcome back, everyone, to my season review of The Legend of Vox Machina. If you haven't seen my previous review covering episodes 7 through 9, you can click up here. But today we are going to be talking about the final 3 episodes in season 1, and that's going to be episodes 10 through 12. Before I jump into any spoilers here, though, I just want to say that I loved this show. It was excellently written and so clever all the time. If you play D&D or know anything about D&D, you're going to love this show because you're going to relate to a lot of the things that happen and recognize spells that are happening and things like that. So if you haven't checked it out yet, then I would definitely go recommend you watch it. But now we're going to get into spoilers for episodes 10 through 12 and talk about everything that happened in these final 3 episodes. Alright, so episode 10 now started off with a banger of a hook. I mean, if you remember episode 9 where that left off, that was Percy pulled out a gun, was about to blow the head off of this woman in a jail cell we knew nothing about, and then it cuts to credits, and just a cliffhanger at its best. So episode 10 comes around and you see this woman and you get a little bit more of Percy's backstory, and you're able to see that this woman was the person that tortured him and his sister, and she was ultimately the one that shot his sister in the back with all those arrows. So her name was Anna Ripley, and she was another scientist engineer in the castle. Ripley was, I guess, the one that created the underground temple area with her engineering skills and also a few traps. But then I was surprised because Cassandra stopped her brother Percy from shooting her in the cell, and I don't understand why. So I'd like someone to explain this to me, because if she was under the control of Silas at that time, then I guess they would have assumed that she was going to lead them to the underground temple, but I don't understand why you need Ripley then. Why do you need her to lead you to the temple if Cassandra was going to be there already? It almost seemed like a half-baked plan that ended up working out in the vampire's favor, because you didn't bring a sacrifice with you down into the lair, which means you were relying on Cassandra to end up there. And if you were relying on her to end up there, then you would assume she knows how to get there. You wouldn't be relying on just some chance encounter with this woman in a jail cell to lead them there, right? I mean, it wouldn't make sense, because you should at that point at least think that Percy, might actually kill that girl in the cell before that person gets a chance to lead them there, in which case nobody shows up to the underground lair, they have no sacrifice, and their plan still doesn't work. So I don't know if that was a plot hole or if someone has any more insight that they can kind of shed on that, but that's the only part that I gathered about this whole show, really, that I'm like, but why? I do agree with Percy, though, that you should have just killed her there because she was a terrible person. And sure, she could give you information, but if I know my party, they would have literally just killed her there and said, nope, we can find it on ourselves. And then they would have spent the next 3 hours checking for traps after every step they took. Speaking of Cassandra, though, I totally called that betrayal. How could somebody that was raised by vampires for the last 20 years, 10 years even, how could she not have some kind of Stockholm syndrome and be in as good of a condition as she was? I mean, I would have understood it if she was like in the dungeons for the last 10 years, but she was in really nice clothes and such, so I definitely called that. I did not, however, see that it was going to be mind control, though I guess I probably could have assumed that since Silas was clearly able to control the king from a long distance as well, so, guess that's shame on me. The acid trap scene was so much fun too, and I loved it, where you had Scanlan going on like an awesome guitar solo riff, and then you had Grog jump into this giant vat of acid, and he's like slowly deteriorating away, and his skin's coming off, and then Pike comes in and heals him as he's going down to try to hit the lever as he's slowly disintegrating in there. I thought that was really awesome, and I am now just realizing that that is also, I'm pretty sure, a reference, or at least, an homage to Hercules when he jumps in the vat to save Meg, and he's kind of slowly withering away before he gets down there and does what he has to do. But I just thought that was funny because Pike is, like golden like the gods, like the show. But anyway, I thought it was also really foresighted for Grog to take his clothes off before he jumped into that vat of acid so they wouldn't disintegrate. That is surprisingly far thinking for that character. Also, just a side note, Ziggurat is a really funny name, I thought. Scanlan was then able to put all the stuff together when they were down in that temple, and I was really impressed. Good for you, Scanlan. And then all of a sudden, Percy, his inner demon, is just a badass trying to come out and ends up having to let Ripley escape so he doesn't make a loud noise and alert the Briarwoods that they're there so they can take him by surprise. But then he just walks up the stairs, yells their name, and starts shooting at them. So much for the element of surprise and letting Ripley get away for that reasoning, because he immediately blows their cover. That boss battle was incredible though, and Pike was so helpful in that situation. She was using her radiant damage to take on Silas and do so much damage to him. And she was also able to heal people at the same time. And I mean, can we agree, healer OP? But then Scanlan gets a silence spell placed on him, and he's really not able to do anything, but who comes to save him again? The healer, Pike. And Kiki, talking to trees, coming in for the win for the party again when she creates her giant ball of fire, or her mini sun, in the sky and is able to light the whole place up against those undead. And at the same time, Grog is fighting Silas and has just one of the best fights ever, where he ends up closing his eyes so that he won't be mind controlled, or so I should say, he won't be seduced, and ends up just hitting Silas in the gut with that axe and putting him in like a choker hold. I thought Grog might actually die in that situation when Kiki used Hyper Beam. I don't know what that spell was exactly. If someone could let me know, that'd be awesome. But I thought Grog was going to die because Silas got completely obliterated, entirely vaporized, and Grog was pretty beat up for sure. But he didn't die, which I was happy about. And when Silas was dying, then Delilah looks at him, and Scanlan's able to put the same silencing spell back on her and just kind of give her a taste of her own medicine, which I loved the irony. Obviously, Delilah got really mad at this whole situation, broke free, ran into the chamber, and then tried to complete the ritual, carving into her skin and whatever. And why did you think that was going to work? You didn't actually end up sacrificing anybody. You said you needed a sacrifice, and literally nobody died. So, except Silas, and I don't think undead count at that point, so I do not know why you thought that was going to work. Kiki ends up sacrificing herself by jumping in that beam of whatever it was to save Vex, and all of a sudden, I thought she was going to die, and of course, it's like, I feel like I keep thinking everybody's going to die. I guess the beginning of the series with literally every hero dying kind of made me think, oh, some people are going to die in this, but these are our heroes, so they're okay. But anyway, she was able to be saved, and I mean, really, how could she not with that amazing spell that Scanlan placed on her? Too good not to work, right? Then there was a big scene about Percy and his demon and him fighting off his demon and such, and it seems that in his quest for revenge and in his hate that he summoned this demon into the gun that he was working on. And I almost wonder if he didn't actually create the demon himself, where his hate and revenge were so thick and palpable within him that it actually materialized itself into a demon, into the weapon he was forging there. And that's why the demon is made of actual smoke, because that's how it was created. That scene was really cool though, and I loved seeing that the demon was actually in the gun, and Percy was trying to get it back, and Scanlan just threw it into the acid, and it actually had a demon in there. I was surprised about that, I'll be damned. But luckily, I think Percy is able and smart enough to create a new gun, though I am going to miss that really badass smoke effect. Also, I'm really glad that Cassandra actually ended up killing Delilah there at the end. I mean, if anybody in this entire arc deserved to die, it was Delilah, so glad to see that she died. And then, at the very end of the show, we had the new dragons, the 4 dragons coming to attack the castle, and with that, I am very interested to see where that goes, because I remember in the first episode, when the blue dragon was talking about how its friends are coming and things, I was kind of waiting this whole series for that to happen, but it never really did. And I guess now we just have to wait for season 2 to kind of follow that arc up. Overall though, as I said at the beginning of this video, I loved this season, and I'm going to recommend it to pretty much everybody that I know. And I am so excited for season 2 to come out, though it is going to be now a long wait because I'm so excited for it. But let me know, have you seen this series and do you think it's accurate to the Critical Role D&D campaign? Did you like it? So let me know anything that I missed in here too. But I'm Keeks. I hope you've enjoyed my review and discussion of season 1 of The Legend of Vox Machina, and I will catch you all next time.